You are now in a typical flat of a nuclear power plant worker. In just these few dozen square meters, a family lived their lives. In the 80s, this flat was considered very comfortable and indicated high social status. Most of the flats in Pripyat are empty. Chairs, sofas, and other furnishings remain in only a few of them. When it became clear that Pripyat would remain a ghost town forever, several trips were organized, during which residents could retrieve their most valuable items from their flats. Later on, whatever was left was thrown through the windows and then buried in designated spots. This was to discourage people from ever returning home again. The third angel blew his trumpet, and a great star fell from heaven, blazing like a torch, and it fell on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the waters became wormwood, and many people died from the water, because it had been made bitter. This is a quote from the Bible, Revelation 8:10-12. The angel in the book of Revelations predicted that the arrival of a giant star called Wormwood would bring about doomsday. Interestingly, the plant known as wormwood, Latin name, Artemisia absinthium, is related to common mugwort, commonly known as black mugwort. In a free translation, Chernobyl means black wormwood. It's also the name of the town that housed the power plant. An ominous coincidence, isn't it? The Azure Swimming Pool is an iconic indoor pool located at 18 Sportivnia Street in Pripyat's 3rd microdistrict. The pool was built in the 1970s and remained open until 12 years after the Chernobyl disaster of 1986. During that time, the pool was primarily used by the liquidators. In spite of the disaster, the pool was one of the best maintained places in Pripyat. Since its closing in 1998, the pool and the nearby indoor basketball court have been left to deteriorate and are now abandoned. Before the accident at the power plant, Pripyat was a rapidly growing city. The Soviet government placed a strong emphasis on sports and physical fitness. As a result, many sports complexes, clubs, and swimming pools were constructed. One of the most notable was the Azure Indoor Sports Complex. It featured a pool with 5 swimming lanes and 2 diving platforms, as well as a gym and basketball court. It was opened in 1970 and regularly hosted swimming competitions. It was located in a relatively safe area and was used by employees of the Exclusion Zone Administration and liquidators. The pool was closed in 1998 due to the shutdown of the 3rd reactor, which meant hot water was no longer supplied to the city. Today, like every other structure in the exclusion zone, it is abandoned. The clock above the pool still displays the approximate time of the accident. Electricity and water were cut off to most buildings in the city, but were later restored in facilities where government officials were working, including Lazarny. On one of the walls, the word "rain" is written in graffiti. Indoctrination was a crucial element of education in the Soviet system. From a young age, children were taught about the forefathers of communism, the leading role of the party, and the foundations of socialist society. Teachers instilled the values of total submission of the individual and the collectivization of action. Such classes were ubiquitous in every republic of the Soviet Union, as well as Eastern Bloc countries like East Germany and Poland. Music lessons played an important role in youth education. Talented children were enrolled in school bands and choirs, which took part in national competitions. Meetings, concerts, and art presentations, and every other aspect of the school's cultural life took place here. In fact, various groups held their meetings and rehearsals here every day. The grand piano on the stage was used for accompaniment. This is a standard setup for every school in Pripyat. Meetings, concerts, and art presentations, and every other aspect of the school's cultural life took place here. In fact, various groups held their meetings and rehearsals here every day. The grand piano on the stage. Mathematics was the foundation upon which the Soviet Union's technical development was built. As early as primary school, the brightest pupils, under the vigilant eye of their teachers, advanced their skills in science. The best of them attended secondary schools and later went on to renowned universities to become scientists or engineers. But none of this stopped the Soviet Union from building a malfunctioning nuclear reactor. The faulty design they used was intended for the production of weapons of mass destruction, not for civilian applications, by the way.
School number 3 is one of 5 secondary schools in Pripyat, located on Sportivnaya Street next to the indoor swimming pool.
The school had modern amenities such as music and sports facilities. Although abandoned, the building remains in relatively good condition. It sustained less water damage than other schools in the city. The wooden window frames are still in place, but the cast iron radiators are gone. With its central location and variety of spaces, this school is a fascinating place to visit and a reminder of the hundreds of children who once attended it. It's notable for its collection of gas masks, which have since been scattered on the floor by looters scavenging silver from the filters. The Soviet-made, child-sized masks were meant to protect against nuclear, biological, and chemical NBC attacks and were kept on site during the Cold War. It was very modern by Soviet standards of the time. The building was supposedly designed by Kiev Scientific Research Institute of Electrotechnical Physics, like many other schools in the Soviet Union. According to the historical records, the classes were not immediately canceled when the news broke. The children received some iodine pills and were allowed to go home a little early. That was it.